Hello everyone, long time no see. I know you're here, probably that is to learn how to draw some ears. And a quick little disclaimer, this is going to be, if anything, more beginner friendly, and I'm not going to focus about the annoying in-depth anatomy, and we're going to focus on just the actual shape and form that an ear has. Now here is a super useful visual shorthand for the ear. Think of it as a question mark for the outer lobe. The outer lobe is called the helix, and then draw for a shape called the antihelix, this nice curving Y shape inside. And another shape is between, like right in that opening of the question mark between those two ends, put in a little smooth indentation, a smooth curve. This is called the tragus, and it is a sort of cartilage outcropping piece of skin, whatever, that covers up your ear canal, ear hole, whatever you want to call it. Alright, I find that pretty useful, but let's move on to a more in-depth, more detailed drawing of the ear. So I start placing lines down very slowly, and I just mark off all the different areas. I get that outer earlobe and start working on the fact that like the earlobe is more 3D. It's like a beveled sort of edge. It's not like a paper thin structure. You know what I mean, obviously. And then I carve out where the tragus will be. I made it way too tall. I'll change that later. And then I also work on that curving Y shape of the lower part of the antihelix. And I also start adding the sort of bit of shadow that you will often get that's like kind of more in the darkest, not the necessarily the darkest, but like the deepest recesses of the ear between that tragus and that antihelix right there. Alright, so we've got the bare bones down. It looks like an ear, but let's add some more detail. So I start to thicken out the earlobe because obviously it's not quite paper thin. It has some thickness to it. And then I also add not a top shadow, a cast shadow from that top part of the earlobe or helix or whatever you want to call it, and it casts it down to the rest of the ear. Well, not the rest, the top part of it. Anyway, and after this, I will later on add, you don't see it quite much here, a big thing is make the sort of bottom of the ear, I don't know the exact name for it, I forgot, a little bit droopy. It's a little patch of fat, the place where people put earrings in. Make sure that like it sags a little bit and isn't just like bony looking. Anyway, after this, there is not much other like structure to add. The ear can look very complicated and hard to draw at first, but once you get down to it and you break it down into these simple components, it's really not that bad. And to sort of bring this all together, we need to add some shading to it, make it nice, smooth, and realistic looking. The areas that you need to shade, like I already mentioned, you need to shade the area between the tragus and the antihelix, and that is just kind of like the deepest corner of the ear. It's right next to your ear canal, so it makes sense that it's dark. You want to give a nice thick core shadow, or just a thicker one, to the earlobe, not the earlobe, sorry, that little drooping thin of fat at the bottom of the ear, because it has some volume. It's a bit like fatter than the rest of the ear. Maybe add a bit of a sweeping shadow to the earlobe, doesn't matter as much, but you should add a shadow to one part of the earlobe, that is where it kind of curves into that hole for the ear canal. It doesn't go into the ear canal obviously, but it kind of curves into it, and when it's closer to that, it kind of hides a little bit away from the light. Just shade it a tiny bit. And I already mentioned this before, that top part of the earlobe, casting a shadow on the rest of the ear. Just make sure to add that. I should have made it more pronounced. I should have made that like little Y shape more pronounced. I didn't. That's my fault. And for again, to go back on the shading, it shouldn't be like crazy dark, even though it's kind of hidden away from the light. A sort of nice middle darkish value. And again, halftones. Nothing too crazy, nothing like incredibly dark shadows and incredibly light lights. Keep it simple. That is it for today. I hope you guys find it very useful. Sorry for being gone for so long. I'll be out with more content more regularly. And most importantly, I hope you guys found this useful. And if you did, please check out the rest of my channel. I have a bunch of stuff on different facial features, different parts of the body or the head, or just different parts about drawing, even painting. So you guys should probably check that out.